Oh,
Hold on a second. Let me get this guy out of here. All right. My guest today is Kevin David. Kevin is a seven-figure CEO and an e-commerce coach to thousands of students that left their 9 to 5 jobs behind them. He's got like 910,000 subscribers on YouTube. I've known about this guy for a while, and now we are connecting for the second ever live edition of Growth Mindset University. The episode will be out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and everywhere, the normal place to get Growth Mindset University, a couple months from now. But I wanted to experiment since everyone's on quarantine right now and do this one live. We haven't done one since James Altucher back in May of 2019, and of course that was it was in person in studio. Had a like an actual live audience. But this is cool too. So Kevin David, welcome
what's
to
up,
the
man?
show, man.
This is the quarantine live audience.
Yeah, yeah, man. This is gonna be a fun one. People can find you at officialkevindavid.com. I want to make sure people can find you when they hear something, get curious today. And at Kevin David on Instagram. Just look up Kevin David on YouTube, and you know you're not very difficult to find. So I gotta ask you, man. Well, first of all, I'm excited to like finally do this. I know we've tried to do this two other times, and haven't having technical difficulties, but
Yeah,
finally we're making this work.
yeah.
I gotta ask you. You got 190,000 followers on Instagram. You follow zero. Why do you follow zero? You can't even follow your friends?
No, so it's for a couple of reasons, right? Like I have a hard time. I don't know if you're a Reddit user, but there's a subreddit called No Surf. And so I have a struggle with something that I struggle with personally is social media addiction, like using my phone too often.
Me too.
And so what I found was if Instagram was less entertaining, right, by not following anyone and having no content to look at, I used it less. And so now I literally only use it for business because the only pictures in my feed are of me, and those aren't particularly interesting to me. And so I unfollowed everyone on all social media, and so I use it a lot less now.
Does it ever cause like any rift? Is it like you unfollow some people that are close to you? Like, dude, like what? Like, come on, bro.
Oh, of course, yeah. I had grown men being like, "Yo, bro, like, are we good? Like, you unfollowed me." I was like, "Dude, it's
Mm,
an app." Like,
it's funny how like how people interpret like, oh, this person unfollowed me, like we're not cool. And honestly, like I'm kind of guilty. I can be guilty of it sometimes. I'm like, whoa, what does that mean? You know?
yeah, you're like, "Bro, we good?"
but but you assure them like, we're good, man. You explain to them why. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's literally just like a me thing. Like I just it was getting to the point where I was using it too much, and I could like tell that I was not being productive, and so I just out of sight, out of mind type thing.
Sure. So on your podcast cover, the like the album art, so to say, is that a Lamborghini?
For my podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I need to
So
change
is
that.
that yours?
It is. Yeah,
Really? So when did you get that?
I got that on my birthday of the year before last. So my 30th birthday was this year, and the year before that, I got it for myself as a little present, I guess.
So 29th birthday, buys himself a Lamborghini. Is that like something you knew that you were gonna do?
No, not really. I mean, like I didn't even know what a Lamborghini was like 3 years ago. I mean, I like probably would have recognized the brand, but like I didn't understand kind of like what it was. But when I was growing up, like I grew up in a small town, and there was a car. It was a red Corvette, and I'll never forget the license plate. It said "Not yours," and it was like the only nice car in my whole city because I lived in a small city in Oregon. And I remember thinking like, "Wow, that's so beautiful," and like everyone looked like it was just like magical to me at that time. And I just remember thinking like, I gotta have one. And that
Mm.
was kind of like my moment that I had been like waiting for since I was a little kid in certain ways. But I mean, cars aren't everything. They're not that important to be
No.
honest. But it is a interesting feeling hearing the engine and like feeling the power of that type of machine for
Yeah.
sure.
How does it make you feel?
It feels good for sure. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's so loud and it's so fast. And just like, for better or worse, the attention that it brings is interesting too. I think a lot of people probably wouldn't like admit that, but I think most people who have one get it for a specific reason. I mean,
Mm.
nowadays, now that I'm older and wiser for a year, I generally don't use it like almost at all. I
Mm.
use mainly like my scooter and like my bike because I just like I find it more. I
That's
just like it
funny.
better. I'm probably the only person in the world that has a Lamborghini and a moped in the garage and uses the moped like 99.9% of the time.
Yeah. Well, man, I got a couple of months ago, I got like in November, I got a 2019 uh fully loaded high performance package, the high performance brakes, high performance engine, Mustang, and it was 2019
Yeah,
Mustang, and man, that makes me feel like euphoric still every time I drive it. So I can only imagine, and people are gonna think we're being so superficial here, but like it does, it definitely does make you feel good. And I don't know, I mean, I walk away, I walk away from it, and I'm not like walking around with like trying to like brag about it. Like I don't carry it like really into the rest of my life. It's like a fun experience that adds to your life in the moments that you drive it. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, if it makes you happy, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks, right? And that's the same thing with everything. As long as you're not like hurting people or being immoral, but it's like if it makes you happy, then you should do it because, like, life is short, and you got to
Hmm.
find the things that you enjoy. And Mustangs are beautiful, amazing, creations and machines and feats of human ingenuity, and they should be appreciated.
Yeah, man. So, there's a question here from a listener, Kelvin. I answered a question from him on my last podcast. Same guy. All right. What was the one or two things that gave you the drive to do what you do now and creating, having so much impact? But that kind of like that, we're gonna answer that question. But now's the time. We're talking about Lamborghini, all this stuff. 190,000 followers on Instagram, 910 on YouTube. Like, we're gonna start to unravel this. Like, how did Kevin get here? Where did he start? So, like, I guess, yeah. What was the drive? Because I know you were an accountant, and we're gonna talk about that.
I mean, like, I think I get asked this question so often, and it's a good question. But like, unfortunately, like the truthful answer is not particularly epic. Like, I just had a, I had a job that I didn't like
Yeah.
particularly much. I was an accountant, and it was like a prestigious job, and a bunch of other people applied for it, which is true. But like, once I got it, I was like, oh gosh, is this it? Like, I don't feel special. I feel like I'm getting grinded to the core and underappreciated and undervalued. And so once that was happening, I more or less reached a breaking point. There was a series of relatively uninteresting things that kind of broke me. And at that point, I started Google searching how to make money online, literally. And so I found a couple of blogs. Niche Pursuits was one of the first products I found by a guy named Spencer Hawes, which is like super old now,
Spencer
probably.
Hawes, basketball player.
That's what I always thought too.
I
But
was
he
like,
has the same name, but it's not the same person.
yeah, and
Um,
I'm from Philadelphia, so that name definitely like stuck out to me. I don't think
yeah,
other
no,
people would
definitely.
know him, but
Yeah. And so I tried that. I made a website called Top Essential Oils and tried to like monetize it with Google AdSense. And then I made an iOS app that failed. And I tried to make a travel blog called Eat, Sleep, Trek, Repeat because there was a super popular thing called Nomadic Matt. And I was just kind of trying things that I was learning about online and learning from the failures, but they all failed, right? And then, luckily I found something that didn't for me, which was Amazon.
right. So like, I want to go back though. Why did you become an accountant in the first place? Did
I
you
mean,
like go to college to, with that intention?
no, definitely not. I mean, like the account. I think a lot of people when they go into college, kind of go into college not realizing what they want, or like not having any clue what they want, and they get influenced like by their counselors and their teachers and their parents and their family and stuff like that. And I was the same, right? Like my parents kind of told me, "Listen, Kev, like a lot of people are going and getting college degrees in like communications or anthropology, and then like working, at Costco afterward." And so I was like, well, I don't really want to go to college and get a degree where I can't get a job for sure after like a lot of hard work. And so one of the things that made sense to me was business, and then inside of business, probably the most logical, most 100% guaranteed you're going to get a job is accounting. And then I mixed that with my interest in technology, and I double majored in the business version of computer science, which is called business information systems. And that would just kind of seemed logical to me at the time. And I got a job very easily. Like I was promised and understood that I would, and then I realized that job was not as special as it seemed originally.
Right. And how did you realize that?
I mean, I was just working like 80 hours a week, like waking up at like 6:30 in the morning, driving for 90 minutes to the Facebook campus, like, you know, 13 miles. It took me 90 minutes to get to Facebook from where I lived, which is
13
crazy.
miles, 90 minutes.
13 miles, 90 minutes, stop and go the entire time. And I was exhausted, right? Because I would wake up at 6:30, I would get there at 8 or 8:15 or whatever. I would work until 8 p.m. or longer to try to avoid the traffic. And then I would drive, 40 minutes to the gym, go to the gym, get home at like 11:30 or whatever, try to work on my own business for like 2 or 3 hours, go to sleep at like 2 or 3 a.m. and wake up at 6:30. And I did that 5 days a week for 90 days.
Yeah, and so like you start trying to climb out of this, you kind of realize you need to change, something needs to give,
Yeah.
and what you mentioned, like you played around with like creating an app and
Yeah,
just
I created
you
an app
just
called Quiz
experimented.
Pixel. Yeah, it was do you remember the app Trivia Crack?
Oh yeah, I my friend told me to download it and play it with him the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, so Trivia Crack was super popular at the time. I mean, it still is, but it was like really popular at that time. And I was like, damn, this is such a good idea. And so I tried to make a quiz app about video games, like specifically, because video games was something that I liked and something I knew a lot about. And I thought it was a great idea. It's actually still in my Google Drive, have like 1,000 questions that I wrote from scratch, video game trivia.
Mm.
But other people didn't think it was as cool as I thought.
So that didn't work. And then what?
And then, well, that was actually I think the second thing I tried. The first thing I tried was there was a niche website, kind of like course that I took, which was how to rank sites in Google and monetize them using Google AdSense. So you would like take these words like frankincense, essential oils, right, which gets like a number of Google searches a month, and doesn't have like high quality results in the results, in the SERPs, the search engine results. And then what you would do is you would put affiliate links to Amazon products about like those products in your articles that you wrote. And then if enough people actually clicked it and bought through your articles, then you would make money. And I made like some money, but it was like not even close to worth it for how much time I was doing.
Mm-hmm. And then you eventually get into like selling on Amazon yourself, yeah?
Yeah, so that was the fourth thing I tried. The third thing was the travel blog because I was like really
Okay.
into traveling, and that again worked a little bit. Like I was making like $100 from this stuff, but not even close to how much time I put in. And then the
Mm.
fourth thing I tried was Amazon. Yeah, so Amazon, I bought everything off Amazon, like my toilet paper, my toothpaste, my food, like literally everything. And so I was like, I so believed in it, and I learned about FBA that you could sell on Amazon by yourself. Like I always thought at the time that Amazon sold everything on Amazon, right? And this was years ago now, but and Amazon FBA was not nearly as wildly popular as it is now. But I was like figuring this out. There was like one blog, there was nothing on YouTube, like how to sell on Amazon, and I was reading it. I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. And then I kind of tried to figure it all out on my own, and eventually ended up ordering 6 products, putting them all in one shipping container to save money. I sent it via sea, right? So my product price was just rock bottom. And then once I started selling those products that I had invested in, I was making like literally within like the first couple of weeks, I was making more from Amazon than I was making at my job at Facebook.
Yeah. Hmm. So like I don't even know, I wouldn't even know where to start with selling on Amazon. Like what do you just how does one list an item on Amazon? How did you go about figuring that stuff out, Kevin?
Well, like honestly, the way that I figured it out was I was just Google searching how to make money online, and I was just reading through everything. And there was like
Hmm.
affiliate marketing, niche sites, apps, like all of this stuff, and I was just trying it all. Like honestly, I was trying it, failing at it, and then when I saw this one, I wouldn't say I necessarily like really believed that I was going to make it. I probably did believe that I was going to make a lot of money from the app. Like I really believed that, but I didn't really think that the niche website or the travel blog was going to like blow up. But I really believed in Amazon, and I think like that additional confidence and belief in Amazon like made a big difference in how I approached it and things like that because I just believed in Amazon.
Sure.
And so I really believed in it, and I went all in, and I bet bigger than most people probably would have. It was like my whole life savings and more on my first order, which was probably dumb in retrospect. But
What do you mean bet your whole life savings? Like the product, like the cost of goods sold?
yeah, exactly, the inventory.
What was the product?
So it was a series of different products, and so like most Amazon sellers don't tell this stuff, but like it's been so long now that like I don't even care anymore.
You selling forks?
Yeah, no, actually, it's like almost equally as funny. One of the first brands that I put out was coffee mug and wine glasses. What
Mm-hmm.
I realized was there was like a lot of and, there's keyword research tools, there's tools that tell you like supply and demand and all these different things like software tools. And so what I realized was there was a lot of gifts for like moms and dads, but there wasn't anything for like uncles and aunts and sisters and stuff like that. And so I made coffee mugs with like little clever sayings and stuff like that for like those other large but like still niche offers like uncle, aunt, sister, brother, rather than like the classic mom, dad. And there was just a huge demand for it on Amazon because it didn't exist before I actually got on.
Right. Okay. So like how does what do you like after Amazon? Like is that like your main thing? Or at some point like do you pivot and do something else?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, honestly, it was again like just it kind of happened. Like I don't think I had a master plan at all. It just happened to me, and then I
Mm,
reacted to it. What
yeah.
happened was Amazon was going super well. I quit my job, everything was good, and then I went to Brazil because I love to travel, and I was going to Carnival, which is like a big celebration there. I'm sure you know about. And the day I landed, I was at Christ the Redeemer, literally under it, just looking up at it. It's so beautiful by myself in a country that didn't speak any English. And I get an email from Amazon saying your seller account is suspended.
Oh, Jesus
Um,
Christ.
and that was my whole money, everything. Like I had nothing else at that time. And so I was like, oh God. And so I panicked, like get on the call with like, I had one virtual assistant at the time. That was my only staff, like nothing else. And we're like panicking, trying to figure it all out. And what ended up happening was our supplier who sold us an image that we used in our product listing had also sold that image to someone else. And so we
Mm,
got hit with an IP claim. And it took us like a month to sort it out with Amazon. And it was just, terrible back and forth and, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, what I realized was I can't rely on any single source of income, right? Like I can't allow a company to click a button and ruin my life. And so that's when I kind of
right.
started to look into personal branding and digital courses and software and all of these other things that I had seen other people do, but just I didn't really have any like stimulus to pursue them before that happened.
Right. And by extension too, like you and I could get banned from Instagram or LinkedIn like that, I know a lot of people that get banned from LinkedIn for seemingly, just unknown reasons. It's a little weird. So you
Yeah.
do have to diversify a little bit for sure. So like Kevin, I think the big thing today, I really admire, and a lot of people admire your path from the typical 9 to 5 accountant to 7 figure entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
What would you say are like the big tips if someone wants to do that? They're not happy right now in what they're doing, and they want to do similar. I was going to say be like Kevin, but they want to do similar. They should be their own person, but they want to do similar things to Kevin. They want to
Yeah.
be they want to have their own thing going on, not dependent on a company.
I think one of the things that a lot of people don't do that I think is really valuable is like people like you can hustle super hard and you can do all of that and but like a lot of people I know even personally are hustling and working so hard, but they don't even know what they actually want. So like
Mm,
the first thing you have to identify is like to you, because it's different, right? Like everybody thinks it's the same. Everybody wants to be like rich and famous, but some people like meditating for 20 hours a day in like a temple in Nepal. Like some people like living in like a small cottage like in nature. Like you have to figure out what you particularly like want, and like at the
Yeah.
most microscopic level. And to me, I wanted more than enough money. I like going on being able to travel to Europe tomorrow and having it not matter at all. I like having
Right.
nice houses and nice cars. Like those are things that make me personally happy. And I'm not saying it's like what makes everyone happy.
I feel that it's like some people like guilt trip themselves and feel guilty about liking that stuff, but that stuff makes me happy too. Like it makes me feel good. I like the aesthetic. I like existing in that environment in like a nice home, right? Um, yeah, it's not like a show for other people as many would think. I think
Yeah,
that's
no, I
important
mean,
to point out.
yeah, and I think maybe for some people it is, but I would argue for a lot of people it's not. Like they just enjoy it. I like being in a nice environment. It makes it easier to work. It makes me feel better. I like powerful, fast cars. It's exhilarating. It's
Right.
fun. Like those things were just interesting to me. And so to be able to do that and be able to afford to fly to another country in the morning and have it not matter and never have anybody tell me what to do, I had to make a significant amount of money, right? So I couldn't, if I wanted those things, I couldn't go be a teacher and be able to get them, right? So it dictates what steps you have to take. And so the first step I would say for people who want to do something like that is identify what you actually want, right? And be really specific. Like I like the beach. Like I have a house in San Diego. I'm getting a house in Miami on May 1st. Like there's certain things that I really like. I like nightlife culture. I like, international feel. I like Latin culture. Like there's very specific things. And once I reverse engineered that, I realized that
Yeah.
I had to have X, Y, Z. And so
Reverse
to be able
engineer
to
was the
do that,
exact phrase I was thinking of too. It was like begin with the end in mind and reverse engineer it is essentially what you're saying.
exactly. And for people who don't know what they want, kind of a little, this is kind of a weird trick, but I've told it to my students before. Think about who you're jealous of specifically, and then think about why you're jealous of them. Like there were certain things that I was jealous about, like Dan Bilzerian, for example. Like when I would see him
Right.
with all these beautiful girls and his lifestyle traveling the world, right? And I think a lot of people probably feel that, but wouldn't admit it, honestly.
Hmm.
And then I think, somebody for me was Evan Spiegel also, which you may or may not know who that is, but I mean, he founded
Oh, Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And so, he's young, attractive, he's married to a supermodel, he's a billionaire,
Really?
right? Like, yeah. So, I mean,
Didn't know that detail.
yeah,
Interesting.
he's married to Miranda Kerr.
He's a stud. All right.
Yeah, so I mean, like he has everything that you could ever conventionally want. He's famous for being, brilliant and founding a tech company. Like those are the things that I aspire to. And so to be able to do that, right? I founded software companies. I have the things that I want regarding relationships. And I've worked hard for all of that stuff, but I know what I want because I've thought about it and I've written it down in the most
Mm.
microscopic level. And then to be able to get that, right? Normally you can like look at someone successful, see what they've done to become successful, and then reverse engineer how to actually get there.
Love that. Funny comment here. Jay says, "LOL, just got banned on IG a few moments ago. That sucks. We were just talking about it." John, he says, "Hey, Jordan and Kevin, this is a great example of growth, overcoming obstacles. Still know who I am and what my passion is in life. You two clearly have discipline and grow every day." Good segment. It is a good segment, man. I'm glad we're talking about this and we're giving the advice, begin with the end in mind and reverse engineer it. I think it, and from there, like what, you see that end in mind, you have that idea, that picture in your head, and then like I don't know what I would do, Kevin, is figure out like I've done this before, write out like the 5 big moves, like the 5 steps, the 5 big steps that it's going to take to get that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean for sure. And I think one thing that a lot of people struggle with, and I did too, is like shiny object syndrome, like going from thing to thing to thing and never doing any of them deep enough
Mm,
to actually have any results. But like people also do that with like mentors, right? People will follow like me and you and Grant Cardone and Gary, and they're like getting all of this information, and it's like it's kind of conflicting. Like for me, I found like the one person who had like done specifically what I want, and I focused on everything that they were doing. Like,
Yeah.
how are they messaging their audience, their emails, their how their videos, like what they were spending their time doing, and then I kind of like reverse engineered and emulated
Yeah.
that.
There's so many variables too to take into account when you're taking advice from all these different people, like all the names you just mentioned. You have to consider that so much of the stuff that works for Gary Vee, a lot of the advice that he's giving, it works for him. Like he's really big. A lot like you can't use like the same titles. If you have 1,000 followers, you can't use like the same titles on your videos as Gary Vee does. It just work. There's different strategies for different people. Different points in time that this worked and now it doesn't. And you kind of, I don't know. I mean, you have to take people's advice, I think, with a grain of salt, and figure and just start taking action yourself
Yeah, I
and
mean,
figuring
there's
it
a
out.
one of the most important things I learned is like not to listen to what anyone's saying. Like look at what
Mm,
they're doing, right? Because like Grant Cardone or like Ty Lopez or whatever, like he's selling
mm,
you a course on something doesn't necessarily mean he's doing it, but he's selling a course, right? Because he's figured out that that's the most profitable use of his time, right? Not necessarily doing the thing. And so you want to look at what people are actually doing more so than what they're
right.
saying, and then reverse engineer what they're doing.
That's a great point, Kevin. And I think it's like a great point to transition into my final question on. But before I do, I just want to say like I appreciate you and I appreciate you being so willing to like work with me through the technical difficulties over the past 2 weeks. And it's been fun, man. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure, bro. It's actually funny. I don't know if you ever watched Seinfeld, but like there's an episode like with the soup Nazi. I feel like you're like the audio
Oh,
Nazi.
I am. I am. People have said that before. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it though. I need to like learn from you, and like I feel like the perfect podcast would be like a happy medium between me like recording it like super ghetto on my phone and you being like ultimately prepared with all the like gadgets and like perfect everything.
That's funny, man. I mean, I think people are gonna hear that a little bit because like I've got this, big microphone right here, and now you have AirPods, and like it's
Yeah.
people can understand us, but there's definitely going to be like like when I talk, there's definitely right now a little bit better of an audio quality than is on your end, and that's not to like degrade you, but I'm just saying like that's exactly what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
but again, thank you, man. And my final question is, this is a question I ask everyone at the end. If you could teach a course at a university, a course of your creation or otherwise, what would it be? It could be college algebra or it could be something, whatever you want to do?
Yeah, honestly, like
Obviously not college algebra. I'm kidding.
yes, I mean I've had like tens of thousands of people come through my paid courses at this point. Like I've reached millions of people for free across like a
It's
bunch of
amazing.
different platforms. And what I've learned is it was actually counterintuitive to what I thought. Because what helps me personally is the tactics, right? Like the Facebook ad trick. That's like what I even still today. That's what I actually like and enjoy learning. But that's because I have a mindset that is really well fit for being an entrepreneur. Like I have an incredibly high amount of confidence in myself and my own abilities. I'm naturally motivated because that's just like who I am. Like I think, it stems from a couple of things. But what I've realized is, the car can't function without the engine. And like
Right.
what it all starts with your mind. And I know it sounds cliche and kind of annoying, but like it's so true. Like if you ask and look at any entrepreneur, right? Because you think about it like this, like if somebody asked me, "Hey Kevin, could you make $1 million?" Like, and I would say yes, and I would know for a 100% fact I have that I could because I've done it, right? I have the experience. But the problem is at the beginning when you haven't done it, you haven't had the results. You don't have that confidence, you don't have that experience, and so you have to almost have this, unsubstantiated confidence in yourself. To actually be able to do it, like the fake it till you make it mentality, if you will. And so, what I would teach is mindset, right?
Mm,
How to have the
mm-hmm,
proper mindset, how to believe in yourself, how to
mm,
understand and realize that you deserve anything as much as anyone else. That's what I
absolutely.
would teach.
Empowering, and it's really fitting for Growth Mindset University. Kevin David, you're the man. Thank you very much. At official Kevin David on Instagram. Oh, no. At Kevin David. And then it's officialkevindavid.com is the website. At Kevin David on
Absolutely.
Instagram. Kevin, you're the man. Thank you.
Appreciate it, bro.
And we're going to hit end. And it takes, the funny thing about